Welcome back to Chaos Corner. It's your old buddy, the guardian of chaos, Big Daddy, and I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Here for show number 17, live to tape, same day coverage, 10, 12 feet below the surface of the earth here in the Chaos Bunker. Welcome aboard, fans. We're after Thanksgiving. We're on Black Friday. I hope everybody had their fill of turkey and stuffing. Now, I'm going to say that to say this also. We all have a lot to be thankful for. I hope everyone was able to spend the day with their family and friends and be safe and sound. I know that the government and the CDC and all the political BS that's going on around with the pandemic, social justice, and everything else, they want to keep us separated. They want to keep us apart. They want to keep family and friends apart. Well, it's not going to happen to the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. So I'm here to send positive vibes. We're going to talk everything pro wrestling today. Live to tape, same day coverage. Fans, show number 17. We're on Twitter right now. We are going to bounce over to YouTube in about a minute. Now follow me at Big Daddy G.O.C. And the G.O.C. stands for the Guardian of Chaos. Hit my profile link, and that will kick you over to my YouTube channel. We're putting out all kinds of content, classic footage with all the stars from the past and the present. You're also going to see all the Chaos Corner shows, same day coverage live to tape. And I also want you to follow my boys over at the show, and that's at Mario_Chaos. If you're not using them to put yourself over in your product and your brand, I don't know what you're doing. I really don't. They're there as a tool for not only myself, but for you guys. So we're a day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all those. Let's get back in the gym. Let's start training. Positivity, motivation. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. We're hopping over to YouTube. We're going to be less than an hour. Don't you dare miss it. Fans, welcome back to YouTube and to Chaos Corner. Show number 17, same day coverage, live to tape. It is Black Friday. I won't be going anywhere to spend my hard-earned dollars on shopping on anything, and you could do it online. That's what they want you to do anyway. I don't want to be too political. I know in the first couple of minutes I talked about Thanksgiving, social justice, politics. I always touch on that a little bit in each show for the simple and mere fact it's current. It's what's affecting us. It's what's going on in the world. How could I not talk about it or at least address it with the IWC and my fans here at Chaos Corner? This is going to be a little different of an episode. This is something that I've been wanting to cover for quite some time. It's an unbelievable book. It's called A Battle Royal in the Sky. The Life and Death of Wrestling's 100 Greatest Gods and Gimmicks. Now, obviously, this hasn't been updated. We've lost a lot of people this year. We know that. So I just want to give a special recognition and thoughts and prayers for all the family and friends who have lost loved ones this year, whether it be to the pandemic or any other health crisis. God bless you all. The book is written by John Chapman and Rich Tarantino, and the foreword of by all people is by Al Snow. So we talked about this, I believe, on show number 13 or 12. I didn't delve into it, but I find it to be an interesting read, and we're going to go through it together here on show number 17 after Thanksgiving. It's not too far away, a couple of weeks from Christmas. Let's get 2020 over with, and I don't mean it that way. Let's survive and get through 2020 the best we can and what we've been doing here through the whole year, and hopefully 2021 turns its way around in the world with people, with the United States of America, with all sports and livelihood and jobs and professional wrestling in general. Tonight will be SmackDown. I'm not sure what they'll have in store. There's no big cards going on this weekend. We're coming off of Wednesday night AEW Dynamite, which was fantastic. We're coming off NXT on Wednesday night, which wasn't that bad. Monday Night Raw was terrible. Tuesday nights are another night that you're going to want to watch pro wrestling. I think it's becoming a little bit comparable to Wednesdays. Tuesday nights are Impact Wrestling and then AEW Dark on YouTube. And then going to Wednesdays with Dynamite and NXT, it blows away anything that happens on Monday night or Friday night. And now that the Opera Cup and MLW is back. The restart, that is also on. I believe the Opera Cup was on this past Tuesday, the first round. So look at, and then Impact, Tuesday nights and Wednesday nights, in the G.O.C's opinion, and the IWC, if you will, is probably the two best nights in professional wrestling, maybe even better than the nights of the pay-per-view. Now, we're coming out of last weekend's Survivor Series, The Undertaker, 30 years, and all the different things that were covered all week this week. So we're here at the end of the week, heading into the weekend. And let's get back to, as I say all the time, the task at hand. Thank you for being here. Let's take a little break, 5 minutes in. Only 5 minutes in. This is why I'm here early on the day after Thanksgiving. As you can see by my timeline through Chaos Corner and on YouTube, I'm probably putting out a couple of shows a week. We're averaging, for these couple of months since we started, about, 6, 7 shows a month. And we're going to continue with this. This is the platform. This is the brand. Of course, I'll be making appearances with people all over the country, all over the world, on different shows, on different podcasts. Oh, here we go, baby. I worked for these guys at least a couple of times, and I've seen them in concert 10 times. This is what you get here on Chaos Corner. You don't get this on other podcasts or other shows. Just looking for some tush. I've been good. Dallas, Texas, Hollywood. I ain't asking for much. Not bad. I said, Lord, take me downtown. I'm just looking for some tush. All right, fans. I get it. I get it. This isn't karaoke. This is pro wrestling. We're lowered a little bit. ZZ Top, one of the best bands in history, in my opinion, in Southern rock and classic rock and roll. Again, I had a chance to work for them backstage, not for ZZ Top personally, but for the company. Got to watch the locker rooms, meet the boys, walk them back and forth. Billy Gibbons, Dusty, Frank Beard, they were unbelievable men. Their shows are still incredible, even to this day. All right, fans, here we go. A battle royal in the sky. We're going to go chapter through chapter. We won't be long. Hang out here before you go out shopping. You're in your carb coma. This is the place to be. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. We're in a festive mood here for Chaos Corner. Show number 17. As you can see, before we get started here, I'm wearing the classic Renegade Rampage tour from back in, I believe it was 07 and 08. On the same tour with yours truly, the G.O.C., King Kong Bundy, Sergeant Slaughter, Kamala the Ugandan Giant, Dusty Rhodes, Christian York, Joey Matthews, Julio Fantastico, Jerry the King Lawler. It was plus I believe Al Snow, of all people, might have been there too. Let's see what we got here. Fans, go out and buy this. I'm going to give you the details on it. The Life and Death of Wrestling's 100 Greatest Gimmicks, Gods and Gimmicks. Okay, let's see when this was published. 2012. Okay, so it's 9 years ago this book was published. So almost the last decade, it has not been updated, but it was an unbelievable read. Who knows if all the information is accurate in here? I found most of it to be accurate. I did my research and my facts. I don't agree with a lot of the opinions. Again, the foreword by Al Snow, and the afterword is by the legend himself, the hardcore icon, Terry Funk. So let me get to the back here, and I'm just going to read this to you quickly from John Chapman and Rich Tarantino. Eddie Money. Take me home tonight. I don't ever let you know till we see the light. Take me home tonight, be my little baby. I think I got the words wrong. Be my little baby. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, here we go. Entertainment value off the charts, fans. Every child of the 80s who watched wrestling remembers the good old days of larger-than-life superstars and unintentionally cheesy promos. Every wrestling fan of the 90s thinks back to a golden era of grappling where two companies battled and no matter the outcome, the audience always won. Nowadays, wrestling just isn't the same. Many of our heroes growing up, whether it's Randy Macho Man Savage or Kurt Mr. Henning Perfect, have passed away well before they should have. I agree with that point. And many of our favorite gimmicks and story angles, many of which had no right to live on, have been permanently retired. With humorous poignancy, a Battle Royal in the Sky celebrates both 50 legends we lost and 50 good, bad, and very ugly gimmicks we've had to say goodbye to. Told from a true fan's perspective with superstar career highlights and lowlights, this book also features quotes from some icons in the wrestling business, including Superfly Jimmy Snuka and Nikolai Volkov, who have both since this writing have passed away. Matched with funny and factual wrestling sidebars, ranging from the worst celebrity WrestleMania appearances to top-rated wrestling managers who were pets. I think I might fit into that category, just not for the WWE. So there you go, fans, with what the book is basically all about. And we're going to get into it right now. I want to show you some different photos and different pictures. I will paraphrase certain paragraphs. I think you're going to find this a very entertaining show number 17. The different contents in the book. The Day Competition Died. The Loose Cannon. Here Today, Gone Tomorrow. The Legend of the Haiti Kid. Awesome Mike Awesome, the rise and fall of the fat chick thriller. El Gigante, no wonder the ninth blunder. Power in all the glory. Show within a show, business. Miss Elizabeth, Beauty and the Wrestling Beasts. Special Delivery Jones and the Raider of the Lost Match. Elmer Thud, a heel in the crowd. Will make great pets. Dumb and Dumber, Grappy movie, even crappier gimmicks. Run in on empty. Perfect attendance, the missing link. Crippling a legacy. Tiny Zeus Lister from Z Gangsta to Z Worst Gimmick Ever. Who let the dog out? When size really mattered. Big John Studd, the ninth wonder of the world. Who's next? The Turnpike Incident. The Good, the Bad, and the Kennel from Hell Match. Mr. Fake President. Akeem is One Man Gang and other rebrandings. And I just saw that shoot interview or just regular interview with the One Man Gang, a.k.a. Akeem, on Hannibal TV with Devin Nicholson. It was a great interview. Gang, I never met Gang. I don't like what they did to transition him over to Akeem. But I get it. If it's about the payday and you want your career and you have to continue to feed your family, I mean, that's really what it's all about. But an interesting interview. Gang seems like a down-to-earth, genuine guy. And if you watch anything on Hannibal TV with Devin Nicholson, you'll see that his interviews and the stars that he gets is unbelievable. I really have to say what Nicholson is doing up there at Great North. I watch him almost daily. He's one of my go-tos, along with Wrestling with Anything But podcast. And, of course, JD from New York, Off the Script, the number one, Don Tony, from the Don Tony Show. I talk about these guys all the time and the different people that I listen to on a regular basis. Just because they're good at what they do and they're good at reporting. So what I'm giving you here is the contents and the headlines. You fans that have been around for a while and do your research and analytics, you know exactly when I give you these headlines and the contents, you know what I'm talking about. Everyone knows what I'm talking about if you're in the wrestling business. The IWC, if you will. There's the contents. And for those of you who have been asking since the last couple of shows, again, COVID negative, and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling much better. Still have a little lingering effects of the cough, but I'm feeling so much better. So I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, whether it be on Twitter, on Gab, on Parler, on Rumble, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Fans, I'm on all those platforms. Please follow me over there. And when it comes to the show, like, subscribe, smash that like button. Let's get through the algorithm. Spread the word. If you like what you're seeing here. So back to the contents here. Again, fans, go out and order this book. It's an interesting read and will take up some time, if anything. All right, we talked about the Turnpike incident. We know what that's about. The Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Where were you? Here we go. The insult art intelligence. Video killed the wrestling star. Who better than Canyon? Simply ravishing. The Wizard of Odd. Hold on to Dusty's jewels. The snug, the snug shirted cheap pop. Do you guys want me to refer to Bully Ray and what he said to me 20 years ago? Or we're done with that 17 shows in? Give him 5 spots and he'll fuck up 4 of them. All right, fans. Hold on to Dusty Jules we talked about. All aboard the Lex Express. The Great Escape Artist. Broke Back Wrestling. The Ballad of Billy and Chuck. Adrian Adonis, more than just flower power. The Crooked Ref. Foul Play. Wrestling lays an egg. The Legend of Jimmy Jack Funk. When makeup wasn't only for divas. One Warrior Nation. Kurt Angle. Shaved head led to funny bone loss. Pointless Gold, a.k.a. All Out of Euros. Pretty sad day for the Horsemen. Please stop that loving feeling. Mulkymania is running wild. Owen Hart, the King of Hearts. Blame Canada. Hug it out. And that's just the first half, fans. I'm not going to continue to bore you, but these are the different articles and the different things that are in here. That's why I consider this, again, let me just check it out. It's an easy read. It's from a fan's perspective. It's less than 200 pages. And ironically enough, here on the back page is Terry Funk and Dusty Rhodes. Okay, from the forward. So again, all the different contents, fans and insiders that are out there, I'm not going to read through the rest of it. There's a lot of good stuff. But I will go through chapter by chapter. I'll show you some pictures. I'll read some content to you. Here's one of the first few pages. Obviously, we said the forward was by Al Snow. The forward here is by Al Snow. You fans are going to want to check this out. This would be something that I think a lot of the boys at the Cauliflower Alley Club have probably read because they're all in here. And you know I'm an active member of CAC, and I hope to get out to the reunion. But we'll see what happens with the pandemic. Macho Man Randy Savage is one of the first people we're going to open up to here, and his brother Leaping Lanny Poffo. And I just want to give you a little poem here on Chaos Corner, show number 17, on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. And of all things, I didn't have any turkey yesterday. I stand before Niagara Falls and think about my brother, who seized the carpe diem day with passion like no other. His name was Randy Poffo. He became the Macho Man. Randy Savage made it cool to be a wrestling fan. He set a good example because he said goodbye, and I will try to honor him until these falls go dry. Leaping Lanny Poffo in memory of the Macho Man, Randy Savage, his brother. Very interesting read. Again, the solar energy, the solar power here. We talk about the connection. I know I'm repeating. We talk about all the different things to get down here. I only have one solo behind the glass today because of the holidays. So, you know what I listened to late last night? I was up late. A 10-hour shoot video with the former Worldwide Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion, superstar Billy Graham, the legend, who I hear is battling cancer once again. We know he has a lot of different health issues, but a 10-hour shoot interview from Arizona with Hannibal from a few years back. Very good. A lot of things. Here's the introduction. We got Hulk Hogan and Doink the Clown in the intro. Let me see if I can find some interesting reads here. The day competition died. I'm going to read a little bit of this because you guys know what this is referring to. Everyone remembers the day the music died. The Big Bopper, Richie Valens, and Buddy Holly perished in a small plane crash, and Don McLean sang about it in American Pie. Another sad day in history, at least in professional wrestling history, was when Vince McMahon hammered the final nail in the coffin of WCW. We're 20 minutes in, fans, stay tuned. On March 23rd, 2001, seems like a long time ago, the WWE acquired their biggest competitor, World Championship Wrestling, including all global rights of the brand and their entire library of vintage classic matches. This day will live in infamy because it was the day pure wrestling competition died. Although, again, this is 19, 20 years ago, we see that within the last year or two how much this has changed. That's why this is such an interesting book, because AEW has been on the scene now for a little over the last year. So the competition is back, and that's why I start off here on this show. This may be a two-parter to cover a lot of this information, so stay tuned, fans. And then, of course, throw in how successful TNA went on to be Impact and what they're doing now through the pandemic, which has changed the whole game, fans. We know that the COVID has changed the game. We don't know what's going forward. There's vaccines on the way, supposedly. Who knows what's going to happen leading into 2021? All we can do is stay positive. Sure, mixed martial arts may slightly challenge WWE's ratings now, and TNA continues to sign veteran big names in an effort to steal some thunder. But legitimate competition is as dead as Al Snow's Avatar gimmick. WCW and WWE feuded for some 20 years, vying for fans, attention stealing each other's talent, especially at the height of the Monday Night Wars of the 1990s, and going neck and neck in the ratings. And as you see, this happens on almost every episode. The chains come off as I go on. That's a sign, fans. It's a sign for chaos. It's a sign in life. Go back, and especially the demographic between 18 and 35, 18 and 40, 18 and 30, the number one demographic for AEW, WWE, and everyone in between. Go back and research the 90s and the Monday Night Wars. Listen, I'm over the 50 demo god. I get it. I've been around and following this since the early 70s. Who knows better than I do? A two-time Hall of Famer, award-winning manager in this industry. Go back to the Monday Night Wars in the 90s of WCW and the WWF, WWE, and then throw in when ECW came in and changed the landscape. That was the best time in my 50-plus years of being on this earth in the world of pro wrestling, with the exception of maybe the middle 90s, the explosion pre-WrestleMania into the WrestleManias, the big four pay-per-views, the NWA, Starrcade in the 80s, and that was the best time in my lifetime, in my opinion. But this is second. Make no mistake about it. And today's business is almost unwatchable, although I respect it. AEW is what keeps me coming back. WWE has a lot of stars. AEW keeps me coming back. So this brings back a lot of good memories. Even talking about TNA, which is impacted. TNA had a good run at one time. It was a viable, much-needed viable alternative, a good company. Okay, WCW and WWE feuded for some 20 years. We said that. Monday Night Wars in the 90s. Sure, WWE had the edge most of the time, but WCW brought in its A game with stars like Magnum TA and the legendary Ric Flair. But that latter statement refers to the 1980s. Let's go back to the 90s. Let's go back to the future, when there was no better time to be a wrestling fan. And I just conferred that. Second best time, I say. The 90s were unpredictable, which in wrestling is rare. Fans never knew which face would turn heel or which WWE star might turn up in WCW programming on any given night. A lot of people, like a fans, this guy's much younger than I am, he said he was like a kid in a candy shop every single Monday night, switching back and forth from station to station to catch what was going on to happen next. What moment to savior? Remember the Rock and Sock connection? Well, I certainly do, because I took the sock from Mick Foley in a match with Jerry King Lawler, and I worked with the Rock in 2004, I believe. We were in the same appearance together, a grand opening at Bally's. We talked about that. The poster's right there. Now, as this was going on, a lot of you folks might be a little bit younger, some may be my age. I was a grown man, still in the industry. I was in my 30s at this point of the Monday Night Wars, so I was really into the psychology and storytelling of it, to be in the historical importance of it, to be quite honest with you. And what moments to spit out. Das Wunderkind, again, Don't get me started on that. This golden era of wrestling unfortunately overstayed its welcome, and by 2001, WCW was limping in the ratings and real stars. Vampiro just didn't cut it. I respect Vampiro. I thought he was a great star. This is the book. This is what they're saying. I'm paraphrasing, quoting, just to let you guys know. Educated guy, pretty damn good reader, huh? Have you picked up on my linguistic skills? Have you? Very well read. Don't judge a book by the cover. I've been judged my whole life. I get it. Little break here. 25 minutes in. Show number 17. Black Fridays. Same day coverage. Live to tape. I wish everybody well. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope this brings a smile to your face, because it does to me. We got a big party going on later on. That's right. I have a lot to be thankful for. The Guardian of Chaos personally has a lot to be thankful for, including my wife and my daughters. And Brittany, I love you. God rest your soul. And of course, my granddaughter and my family and friends and associates. So I'm very thankful. Let me just put that 25 minutes in here. I said at the beginning, I'm very thankful for all of you out there. This is coming from the heart. This is not the Guardian of Chaos, Big Daddy. This is what's underneath it, all of it. So thank you for being here. I'm very thankful for all of you and how my life has changed and turned, and for everyone who's ever touched my life. And if I don't see you and if I haven't talked to you and things have changed, I'm still very thankful for anyone who's ever touched my life and been in my life, and especially thankful for my faith. Put my faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, and my family and friends, and especially my partner, my wife. She's a very strong, solid lady. Again, there's her mold in the back, if you could see it. So thank you, fans. Back on to what we were talking about. Okay, where were we? The final WCW Monday Nitro saw a storyline, remember it like yesterday, in which Shane McMahon purchased WCW from underneath his father's guise. It led to a limp storyline. Blue Chew, are you listening? Maybe I can get a sponsor. I've tried with Red Bull. I've tried with now maybe Blue Chew. I've tried with them in the past. And of course, the one steady, the only one who ever comes through for me and has been there since day one, speaking of sponsors, would be my old buddy, Mr. Hempel Stilskin, Sweet Heel CBD. Nobody like Mr. Hempel Stilskin. And if you go to sweetheal.com, that's right, sweetheal.com for all your CBD products, Connecticut owned, Connecticut grown, in the Constitution state, the nutmeg state, if you will, legally licensed. CBD, if I go a day without it, I don't feel right. So thank you, Mr. Hempel Stilskin, here on the day after Thanksgiving. And you should be thankful every day. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for any of us. But thank you, Sweet Heel. Maybe everybody else can step up to the plate. Blue Chew, I'm throwing it out there. Okay. It led to a limp storyline in which C-level WCW stars invaded the WWE. Stars like Lance Storm, Booker T, and Buff Bagwell, at least for a night anyway with Buff, couldn't help the brand stay alive, and after a string of attempts, McMahon ultimately decided to shut down the existence of the brand. Past WCW icons joined the WWE over the years, such as Ric Flair, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, Goldberg, but not only the Nature Boy had a strong run on WWE programming, and it never really felt the same. And wrestling, competition is king. It raises every organization, I say this all the time, from much needed viable alternative competition to a higher level or higher power, you might say. Since 2001, the lack of competition has tarnished pro wrestling storylines, and for that, we mourn. Think about it. Katie Vick would have never been born if WCW never died. I mean, come on. So I find that to be interesting. Think about that, the Monday Night Wars. This is how the book starts off, a battle royal in the sky. Next we go on to, because it's current, and his son is in MLW right now, and he's going to be in AEW, and he's going to be a future star. He's already a star. The Loose Cannon. Flying Brian Pillman is on to the next part of the book. And obviously his son, right now, major stars, second generation, third generation grapplers. That's the one thing that I like about pro wrestling more than anything compared to all the major sports: football, basketball, hockey, baseball, whatever sport, soccer, tennis, track and field, NASCAR, whatever you want to talk about. The history and lineage from second to third and fourth generation grapplers, whether it be the Hart family, the Von Erich family, the legendary Samoan dynasty, Brian Pillman, Devon Dudley's sons now, Taz's son is being trained, the Rhodes boys. Look at the lineage and legacy of families, and I'm missing many others just off the top of my head, of people that have been. If you have a lineage and legacy in this business, and even the Rock's daughter, and you're an athlete and you can be trained, that door is wide open for you to make it into the business. It really is. That's what I appreciate about pro wrestling. I never had a lineage or history or legacy, but have been fortunate to be around those who have been around the business for years, whether it be the Paradise Four or especially the Samoan dynasty. So we'll touch on this. The 1990s decade will no doubt stand out when wrestling historians and connoisseurs look back decades from now. I agree with that. It was during this period that WWE took a stand and decided to derail the Lex Express and begin to make the transition from Doink to the Attitude Era. Gone were the dark days that featured the likes of the Goon and Duke the Dumpster Drosy of the world. I like Duke. I watch him on Road to Recovery. As a matter of fact, I'll be watching Mike Duke the Dumpster Drosy tonight on Road to Recovery on Facebook Live and on Twitch with Wrestling with Anything But podcast with Avi Klein, his co-host. And again, we run it down every episode. 7 days a week, 10, 12 shows a day. I'll try to get onto it before the end of the show, but I'll be listening to Duke. That's why this is a fan's perspective. They talk a lot of stuff about Duke the Dumpster Drosy in here. They talk a lot about the Horsemen, Paul Roma, different mistakes. Now, this is just a fan's opinion. I don't agree with a lot of this stuff, but let's move on. Again, like I say, the task at hand. The Attitude Era ushered in stars such as Mankind, one of three Mick Foley alter egos, D-Generation X, years before the WWE would whore out glow sticks to 8-year-old boys. What a hypocrite Vince is, but it is what it is. He's the best that's ever done it. And of course, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, before they took the Suburban Commando route and hit the road for Hollywood. Hulk Hogan, for you fans who don't know. Of course, on the other side of the tracks, you had WCW, which was pushing the envelope, so to speak, and waging all-out Monday Night War, led by a goody two-shoes turned badass heel and Hollywood Hulk Hogan and his bad guy faction, the New World Order. This is why I started here, fans, because the historical presence. That's why this episode, Show 17, is going to be one that you're going to want to watch and rewatch. 32 minutes in. Out of this glorious and unforgettable time came one of the most controversial characters in the history of pro wrestling, Brian Pillman, a.k.a. the Loose Cannon, or perhaps the best moniker, as I already said. The character that Pillman portrayed was as real can get in the business. Remember, fans, he played pro football for the Cincinnati Bengals. That is based on over-the-top yet scripted storylines. This is where Dark Side of the Ring comes in. His unpredictable persona saw him do worked shoots that so bordered on the line of insanity that even the wrestlers themselves believed he was a legitimate nutcase. Flying Brian Pillman, as he was dubbed for his high-flying ring ability in his early days in wrestling from Canada's famous Stampede Wrestling, began his pro career, as I said, with the Cincinnati Bengals during the pre-Icky Shuffle days. Let me see if I could do it. The G.O.C. got the Icky Shuffle down. I had it down back then. So they talk about his teaming with the Z-Man Tom Zink to incorporate Mexico's Lucha Libre. Pillman's greatest success, and I'll brief it so I can move on to other people in here. And again, we'll make this a two-parter. We'll pick up on this hopefully on show 18. Pillman's greatest success in his early NWA turned WCW days came when he teamed up with the then stunning Steve Austin and formed the Hollywood Blondes. He really began to make waves when he joined up with Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, where he would go on to defeat Japanese legend Jushin Thunder Liger in the very first match on Monday Night Nitro history. A lot of historical facts here, fans. Of course, the final straw in WCW was the moment he outed Kevin Sullivan as Booker during an I Quit match on pay-per-view. Pillman was let go by WCW and would find even more infamy in the form of ECW. Obviously, ECW naturally was a wrestling third opinion during the glory days of the Monday Night Wars. It was a nice hardcore alternative. Fans, you know my history with a lot of the guys from ECW. It's true, he once threatened to yank it out and urinate on fine folks in the ECW arena. A lot of different things there. They go on for another chapter, the next chapter. Here today, go on to more. The Legend of the Haiti Kid. We talk about it with Roddy Piper and the legendary Piper's Pit and his matches with Sky Lolo and Lord Littlebrook. And he was Little Mr. T. We all remember that. I mean, obviously, and I say obviously, don't keep pointing it out to me. He passed away in 2001, but one of the legends in the midgets, the Haiti Kid. Little homage. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we all know the Haiti Kid. And back when midget wrestling was midget wrestling, and these guys were well-trained athletes. On a final note here, not everyone was a fan of his foray into the wrestling business. One wrestler in particular just happened to be the top heel in the company, and I just referred to it, Roddy Piper. Toiling with real life hatred between the two, WWE continued their feud from the inaugural WrestleMania and spilled it into the next year in a premier event in the form of a ridiculous boxing match. Go out and check it out. Fans, go back and do your research. Despite the star power of legendary boxing trainer Lou Duva and former heavyweight champion Smokin' Joe Frazier, it was the presence of the Haiti Kid in Mr. T's corner at WrestleMania 2 that will be remembered most. So just a different thing. And of course, in the spring of '86, that legendary episode of Piper's Pit, we talked about that. So the Haiti Kid, one of the best to ever do it. WrestleMania 3, we know what happened there in a mixed tag team match. And I talked to this man personally, King Kong Bundy, a.k.a. Chris Palace, personally over the years that we were foes, then friends. He thought that was the beginning of the end of his career, and by talking to some of the people I know down in Paradise, they said the same thing, so it's verified. WrestleMania 3 in a mixed tag team match with Little Beaver and Hillbilly Jim against Lord Littlebrook, Little Tokyo, and King Kong Bundy. Imagine, WrestleMania 3, the best there ever was. Next, we have the rise and fall of the Fat Chick Thriller for all you ECW fans who are younger than I, but are probably now in your 30s and 40s. You remember this Awesome Mike Awesome and that whole gimmick he had going on in ECW. I'll skip over that. It was entertaining, but the rise and fall of the Fat Chick Thriller. Mike Awesome. 10 big men not as awesome as Mike Awesome. We'll go through a couple of lists here. 911 from ECW fame, another large individual. The Giant Gonzalez. The Yeti, the Great Khali, Big Vito, Waylon Mercy, Scott Flash Norton, Van Hammer, Man Mountain Rock, Evid Sullivan. It's quite a list of nondescript guys, but I remember all of these gentlemen. 10 wrestlers who would have made better stalkers of Undertaker's wife. Then bang! Diamond Dallas Page, who I just saw his shoot interview for a little over an hour on Hannibal TV. He talks about everything from his club days down in Jersey to even getting into the infamous fight with Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, where he tried to gouge his eye out. Personally, one of my favorite maneuvers. Bink! The old eye gouge, but that was an incredible story. Go back on, again, Hannibal TV, Devin Nicholson, Great North Wrestling. I'll give him his props because he does his homework. Not only is he a legit badass in the business, and let me mention the Blood Hunter and his association with the Taskmaster, who I've worked with before, Kevin Sullivan. His TV and YouTube channel is on fire. So I just watched that with DDP, so it's funny. He went through a lot of different things. So you remember that whole angle when he was talking the Undertaker's wife. And here's a list, and then we'll move forward. Kane, Mick Foley, Kurt Angle, Scott Hall, Rick Steiner, the artist known as Prince Iokea, Rowdy Piper, Saturn, Eddie Guerrero, and, of all people, Pete Rose. So if you're just getting in here now and tuning in, that would be 10 wrestlers who would have made better stalkers of Undertaker's wife than DDP. And then we went over to 10 big men not as awesome as Mike Awesome, who was, a pretty outstanding grappler for such a big man. WWE, New Japan. Mike Alfonso retired from pro wrestling in 2006, and that was one of his managers, leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable moments as well as some less than memorable gimmicks. The Fat Chick Thriller, and remember just how awesome Mike Awesome truly was. Again, another blunder, El Gigante, no wonder the ninth blunder. This was the biggest disappointment and bust in pro wrestling history. I thought it was a joke back then, and obviously, so we're going to skip right past El Gigante. 5 things that made us go, here at Chaos Corner. The Spirit Squad, G.I. Bro, 3 Count, Katie Vick, and no offense, bro, because you follow me on Twitter, a Big Vito in a dress. So all this stuff, especially if you're classic people from my era and a little younger, or if you're someone who's younger and done your research, a lot of this brings back memories and some good stuff. And again, here we go. This episode, this chapter I don't agree with, but I'll cover it because I have a personal connection to a man I love and respect, the head trainer at Paradise Alley, and I've worked the Hercules Hernandez Memorial Tournament. That's where I did a live Chaos Corner with Hall of Famer Bob Backlund. So the Paradise 4, but this is something I'm going to read out here to end up the show, and then we'll cover this. And again, I believe Roma is still the current president of the NAWA. So this would be something that I totally disagree with, but I'm going to throw it out there for the fans because it's got a personal connection to Mr. Roma. Power and all the glory. Again, I can't believe this is printed. I believe I talked about this on other podcasts before. I get a fan's perspective. In a lot of ways, Bobby the Brain Heenan had the Midas touch in the World Wrestling Federation. Every wrestler he managed, it seemed, turned into pure wrestling gold once he stood by their side. Every wrestler not named Red Rooster. Anyway, Hercules Hernandez, whose real name was Raymond Fernandez, was one such wrestler to capitalize on having the Weasel in his corner. In the mid-1990s, after bouncing around different wrestling factions, usually with a mask on and a belt of some sort around his waist, Hernandez made the move to the World Wrestling Federation and was managed by classy Freddie Blassie. While he served as fairly decent heel under that pencil-neck geek, the bearded muscle man was often on the losing end of the match. Again, Hernandez, one of the most underrated wrestlers in pro wrestling history, and why Power and Glory, Roma and Hernandez never went further and got more recognition, although it seems to be getting more now. I've seen several interviews with the Fernandez family. Unbelievable people, salt of the earth, the Fernandez family. I believe there'll be a Jingle Brawl. So that's why you'll find this interesting, fans, the fans that are connected to Chaos Corner as well, and my connection to the Paradise Alley Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. So we get back to classy Freddie Blassie. Case in point, his debut in WrestleMania 2 saw him fall to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. This is virtually word for word. The brick house built wrestler's luck would change, however, after being sold to Heenan shortly thereafter. Under the tutelage of the Brain, Hernandez shed his fake surname, gained some muscle mass and was reborn as Hercules, a man far more appealing and far less cheesy than Kevin Sorbo. With steel chains around his neck, he usually swung at opponents. Hercules became a solid heel in the WWF and a mainstay in WrestleManias for years to come. Unfortunately, so was Coco Beware, but I digress. Some of the Bearded Wonders highlights included a long-standing feud with fellow Full Nelson finisher Billy Jack Haynes, who he defeated in bloody fashion at WrestleMania 3, a great match. Thanks to Bobby Heenan's interference. Fans, go back and check that one out. Other highlights included a tug of war with notorious incoherent superstar, who could forget this one, with the Ultimate Warrior, and a match against the immortal Hulk Hogan during a taping of Saturday night's main event. Hercules lost that match, but put the Hulkster in his signature backbreaker. That was a great move, which we're guessing would have hurt had wrestling outcomes not been faked, kayfabed. But the late 80s, Hercules' hold on TV exposure started to fade. After turning face following his sale from Heenan to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, he was relegated to squash matches against big men like Earthquake. In 1990, he teamed with Paul Roma as one half of Less Than Powerful, Power and Glory, managed by Slick. I find this pretty insulting. The tandem did manage to beat the Rockers in 1990's SummerSlam, but it was clear Hercules' career was heading more toward a Marty Jannetty outcome than a Shawn Michaels one. Again, this is a fan's perspective. Hercules eventually left WWF for WCW and enjoyed some mild success under a mask as the Super Invader, managed by former foe Harley Race. Eventually, he went on to wrestle in New Japan Pro Wrestling, where he grappled once again as Hercules Hernandez. Raymond Fernandez passed in 2004 due to heart complications. While he never won any gold in the WWF, he was a solid, reliable grappler who held his own against some of the great big men in the business. One thing for sure, he was far more convincing as a heel than Arnold Schwarzenegger was as an actor in 1969 dud Hercules in New York. So that's the quotes and the stories from the power and all the glory. You can't make it up, fans. It's right here as we're 46 minutes in here in Chaos Corner, show number 17. Same day, live to tape, and I'm going to download as soon as I get out of here. What else do we have on here? Show within the business. Rowdy Roddy Piper. Again, fans, I'll try to keep this definitely under an hour. Tens. See? With that, well, hold on, fans, because I want to get on to this. Don't go anywhere. Cut me some slack. I've been under the weather the last couple episodes, but I'm much better. Thank you for the emails. And if you want to email the show, have your question live on the air, DM me on Twitter. We already know that. Hit me up on Parler. Inbox me. Email chaosbigdaddy2 at yahoo.com. Halls, sugar-free, good for the pipes, especially when you're talking, especially when you're the golden smog. Show number 17 here at Chaos Corner with your old buddy. All right, show within a show business. Again, fans, this is whatever page I'm in on this book. It's a great read. 10 side slammers, 10 shows within a show we would have liked to see. Fans' perspective that we're covering here. Typhoon's Love Boat. The Iron Sheik's Turkish Bathhouse. Howard Finkel's House of Tinkle. Scott Hall's Celebrity Rehab. JYD's Junkyard. Glacier's Ice Baby Carriage. Speaking of Glacier, Ray Lloyd, every Tuesday and Friday, I believe, on Wrestling With Anything But, Facebook and Twitch with Avi Klein. I talk about it all the time. See how it all connects in here? Bear with me. Rick Rude's Mustache Ride. As you can see, fans, I'm reading from here. You can't make this up. Hit the Showers with Virgil. S.D. Jones Post Office. You're Welcome with Perry Saturn. Again, take this with a grain of salt. Al Snow, Terry Funk are related to it. It's in fun. A lot of it factual. Some of it just opinion, conjecture, rumor, speculation, and innuendo. Miss Elizabeth, Beauty and the Wrestling Beasts. An excellent story on Elizabeth. There's a little kiss for all the fans out there. There you go. Little kiss. Miss Elizabeth, Beauty and the Wrestling Beasts. Special Delivery Jones and the Raider of the Lost Match. Some great photos. Elmer III, Jesse the Body Ventura. I'll give you fans something to look at here. Jesse was one of the best, in my opinion. and overall as his character. I'm not talking about as a grappler in the ring. I feel like I'm doing an unboxing and uncrating. I'm not. A Hell in the Crown, talking about Earthquake. 10 side slammers, that's what they're called here. And the different outtakes of the book that I find to be very entertaining that I want to bring to you guys. 10 wrestlers who fell after being pushed. Nathan Jones, Bobby Lashley, The Great Khali, Danny Davis, A-Train, The Godfather, Ken Patera, The Mountie, Tank Abbott, and Mark Merrill, another guy who doing very well, an inspirational guy, a great guy that I had a chance to meet while I was doing private security. He came in and did an event, and we talked about the local promotion that I was working for with the Paradise 4. And let me tell you, Mark Merrill was a humble, gracious guy, the perfect guy who turned his life around and become inspirational and is affecting lives of young people, whether it be Mike Duke, the Dumpster Drosy, and Road to Recovery, or what Mark Merrill does for high school students and going around and talking about his life and taking things for granted and lucky to be alive. Mark Merrill, the former Johnny B. Bad, married to Sable at one time, who's now married to Brock Lesnar. That's another show for another time, but so you get the work and the play on words in these little sidebars that I'm giving you here, right? 10 wrestlers who fell after being pushed. Get it? So an interesting list of people. We'll all make great pets, referring to animals that have been in the business of pro wrestling, which back in the day was always a big part. Let's run through the list of animals. Here's a couple of different photos. Animals were a big part of the wrestling back in the day. I'll read down the list to you guys. Top six, and again, get back to me on this. You may have a different opinion. I like to hear different things. Top 6 wrestling pets. Matilda from the British Bulldogs. Damien from Jake the Snake, who I have a personal connection to. We've talked about this before. Myself, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Julio Fantastico, against Yokozuna and Jake the Snake Roberts. At the end of the bout, I'm there to put my boys and save my boys. Jake wrapped up Fantastico, gave him the DDT, covered him. Anvil slid out the other side. I believe Yoko came in, whacked Anvil. He went out of the ring. I jumped up on the apron. Yoko gave me a nice forearm, dragged me in the ring, off the opposite side, clothesline. Now, Fantastico and Anvil are on the outside of the ring now. Fantastico's barely lucky to be alive after the DDT. There I am. So now I take the clothesline after the punch. I was like, wow, and not really stiff, but Yoko works great. So I felt the punch. He was 600 pounds by then. It was the end of his WWE run. He had already been through the WWE. What a legendary grappler Yokozuna was. So now I'm laying in the middle of the ring. He goes back to the opposite corner. Jake's in the opposite corner from the video that I've seen. It's been posted all over media and YouTube and on my page. Here comes Yoko. I'm looking up. He comes flying from the side. The big 660-pound leg drop. You can see it in the video. I bounce off the mat as I'm laying there. We literally bounce up. The crowd is going insane. Jake grabs the bag with Damien, or maybe Damien Jr. I don't know. The crowd is in a frenzy. The building is blowing off. The roof is blowing off the building. I'm not exaggerating. My whole family was there to witness it. And he drops the snake out of the bag. People are cheering him on to throw the snake on Chaos. Big Daddy was 320 pounds then. Out comes the snake. Now I'm barely conscious. I don't even know what's going on. And the crowd went bananas. And here he comes out of the bag. Circled around. Jake tries to take it and put it in my mouth. And I'm going... And there's the snake, and I could feel the breath and the tongue almost in my mouth. And he had warned me backstage in a little altercation that no one knows about. He said, I'll get you, Big Daddy. I'm a snake. I'm going to put him down your pants. Infamous story that no one knows about. He didn't say it like that, but in that Jake voice. That's just me imitating somebody. Needless to say, the snake, and he took it off me. He held it up to the crowd. They were going bananas that night. They go to put the camera on Yokozuna straight up, He said, I'm the best big man in the business ever, the 80s, 90s, and so on. And Banzai! I got off subject there. That was not one of my finer moments. Samoan dynasty, for much as we go back to the early 80s and Tonga and Big Sam, Little Sam and Junior and Eddie and everybody and Lloyd. Boy, they were some of my worst moments in the ring when Rikishi squashed me, Umaga headbutt me, Snuka from the headbutt. I mean, I can go on and on with that, but we ended up being brothers, teamed together, did the dance. I'm getting carried away. Show number 17. I'm feeling a little bit better. Can you tell? Back to pets in the business, and then I think we'll wrap it up. We'll keep it under an hour so I can get this out there. Thanks for being here. Top 6 wrestling pets. We're going to make this a part 2 whenever I just get through it and we get through the weekend and we get into next week and all the stuff that's coming up. Matilda from the British Bulldogs, we said it. I just went off and on about Damien and Jake the Snake, who I just saw last year before the pandemic hit at his live Dirty Details show. We sat down and looked at that video and went over that, and he said, thanks, brother. What an honor. So Damien, Frankie for Coco Beware. George the Animal Steel was gimmicking himself, so he makes the list. So does Road Warrior Animal, God rest his soul, we lost this year. And then, of course, the legendary. The irresistible force meets the immovable object. One of my heroes and mentors as far as the business that I molded my character after different parts, and that would be the legendary Gorilla Monsoon. There's Jake and that damn Damien, too. I didn't like it. Anyway, fans, this is something that we get on to Dumb and Dumber. That's next. From Beaver Cleavage to the Ding Dongs to Arachnaman. Crappier, even more crappier gimmicks. That's what we'll pick up on the next show when I get back on the air. Check it out. That's what you have to look forward to, along with my chicanery, so to speak. Again, we'll leave it here, and if you see there's much more to get into. I tried to cover it. We'll start off with it. We'll get on to on show number 18. Show number 17, live to tape, same-day coverage. And what we cover here is a battle royal in the sky, the life and death of wrestling 100 greatest gods and gimmicks. Again, I mentioned it, forward by Al Snow. The back forward, Terry Funk. A fan's perspective. So I have to remember to pick that back up where we were when it was coming to crappy gimmicks. Fans, I just want to end the show this way. Just made me start off with a great day, looking into a great weekend. Very thankful, not only on Thanksgiving, but be thankful every day. We're going into the holidays. We're going to be tried. We're going to be tested, as is this country. Whenever you're feeling down or not feeling great about anything, listen to some music, read something spiritual, seek the Lord out. I'm not pushing, I'm not a Bible thumper. Get to the gym, exercise. I'm not saying whatever it is that makes you be distracted. Listen to podcasts, create your own podcast, content creators, whatever to keep yourself up here, and there. And you know what I'm talking about. So be thankful every day. Thank you for being here on show number 17. We'll be back soon. It was a lot of fun going into the holidays 2020. Everything will work out. Stay positive. I am the guardian of chaos, and I tell it like it is. I'll say that to say this. Show number 17, Chaos Corner. Don't you dare miss it. Show number 18 will drop soon. Stay tuned. Like, subscribe, follow me on all social media platforms, fans. We're having a lot of fun. This is the brand, Chaos Corner.